Okay, I believe we are live. Let me just make sure we are listed here. We are unlisted, and we should be good to go. Let me go ahead and see. I'm just waiting for it on my screen to make sure it pops up. Let me reload here. Give me 1 sec, guys. If you guys are here, give a minute for people to jump in the chat. I just want to make sure for people to jump in the chat. That's what I meant. Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Jason Hebert Live. I will give everyone just a moment to come in case anyone has any questions, get those notifications out. If you haven't please subscribe to the channel if you're into true crime, any kind of true crime stories. We do interviews, as you're seeing. We also tell many stories, anything related to true crime, missing persons, serial killers, things like that. Hi, Indy P. Indy Pink. Sorry, I got a throat thing going on, guys, so please forgive me if I sound like I'm going through puberty or something today. On with me today, we do have Rachel Smith, and tonight she needs your help. She is the sister of Jeremy Triplett. Jeremy goes by the nickname Trip and hasn't been seen or heard from since November 12th of 2019. He's originally from Indiana and was currently living in Hollywood, California. He did have some recent struggles in his life and was homeless. We know him to frequent H&K Tobacco on Santa Monica Boulevard, but unfortunately, the establishment seems to have recently closed. We do, however, believe it is likely he could still be in that area. Jeremy did keep in touch with his family consistently, particularly his mom. So them not hearing from him for almost 9 months is extremely concerning. His phone was shut off within a month of his last contact. So we asked for your help in keeping an eye out for Jeremy. And today she's going to tell his story. And if you have any information, please come forward. You could always send it to me. The important thing, of course, will be contacting the authorities. And if Rachel wants to give any information as to how she could be contacted, if she'd like to, she will do that at the end. But that is her decision. And again, the important thing is, of course, the authorities if you see something. Anything that you send to me, excuse me 1 second. Do not send anything to me in lieu of the authorities or Rachel. I'm not the important one to get anything. But if you were going to message me anyways, by all means, you can, and I will pass something along to them. Anything you send will, if you want to be anonymous or anything like that, that is fine. We are not trying to create any issues for anyone. The important thing is just that we find Jeremy, or Trip, as he likes to be called. That's all that's important. So if you have a tip and you kind of don't really want to get too involved or anything, but you just want to help us find out where he is, that's fine. You will remain confidential. Let me just see. We just want to find Jeremy. So tonight we have Rachel Smith, as I've said about 3 times now, sister of Jeremy, here to tell his story. Rachel, thanks for coming on the show. How are you tonight?
Could be a lot better.
For sure. So hopefully with the results of this, you will be, and you can get over this nightmare, because I know it's been a very tough thing for your family, and I'm sorry that you're going through this. So why don't you start by first telling us a little bit about Jeremy, and then kind of lead into what we do know on November 12th and beyond.
About 4 years ago, Jeremy decided to go to California. He's been in the Hollywood area for approximately close to 4 years, I would assume. Jeremy is a very caring individual. He loves to draw. His artwork is actually quite phenomenal. He loves to read. I've never seen anyone be able to read quite like him. And he had this ability to make friends very easily. And he's just a really great guy, great brother, great son, and a phenomenal uncle. Um, so
Okay. And so you had mentioned how he's close with his family. So even when he was out there, he did keep in touch with you guys, particularly his mom, most often, but you as well. So that's one of the reasons we're most concerned, right? Is even though he wasn't in the area and contacting every day, she would still hear from him at least bi-weekly. Is that correct? And she would kind of help him out, and she was kind of his lifeline in a sense.
yeah, I mean, at least every 3 weeks at max, she would hear from him. If he had to borrow somebody's phone or go, to a store to borrow a phone, um, he would always contact his mother. Always. He we touched base, um, but not as often as he did with his mom. Because my life got, crazy for a while, and so I kind of fell out of touch with him for quite some time. Um, but he always made contact with his mom.
Okay. And so when you first realized he was missing, you started kind of looking at his Facebook, messaging his friends on there to see if anyone had heard from him. Do you want to get into any of the specifics as far as who those people are, what they know, in case they're listening, or anyone knows them?
I have tried to, and I've gotten contact with Lyle Stevens that was on his Facebook. His mother had gotten in contact with him, this person as well as my son. Um, but he has also given 3 different stories about when he saw Jeremy last, or when he talked to him last, or the last place he knew he was. Um, and so I've tried to get more answers out of him, but it just doesn't seem like he's willing to give it up.
So he's told 3 different stories, and there is another person who said something a little concerning on Jeremy's page, correct?
Correct. It is the Facebook profile is George Washington.
With an I, right? George E. Washington, I believe. Okay.
Yeah. And this person had posted on my brother's Facebook post, 4 of them that were over a year old. But this person posted 8 weeks ago, "Rest in peace, Trip." And then magically just appeared on my brother's mom's post and wanted to know more personal information concerning Jeremy, date of birth, things of that sort. I have tried to make contact with this person. I get nowhere. When I question, because the same person is on Lyle's friends list as well, and when I asked him about it, the response we got was, George Washington's the first president of the United States.
Because you asked, who are you?
Yeah, who is this George Washington? Because he's on your friends list. So who is he? And then he is looking on George Washington's profile. The only friend that he has is Tammy Stevens, which is, from what I'm gathering on Lyle's Facebook, his wife. And the only person this George Washington follows is my brother.
Okay,
So I'm believing that this is all the same person.
Right. So we have Lyle Stevens, who actually has 2 profiles under Lyle Stevens, right?
Yes.
And then we have a Georgie Washington, whose only friend is Lyle Stevens' wife. We have Lyle giving a couple different stories, allegedly. And then we have George Washington, who we believe may be him, just randomly saying "rest in peace," and refusing to, not so much refusing, but kind of ignoring to say who he is.
Right. And not in elusively trying to, not giving the answers to why he's putting that on Jeremy's profile. Because why would you put that on somebody's profile?
And this was a while after Jeremy went missing that he started with the rest in peace, right? It wasn't like instantly.
That was 8 weeks ago.
8 weeks ago, and about 7 months after Jeremy went missing, right? 6, 7 months.
Correct.
Because it's been like close to 9.
Yes.
Okay, so we definitely, if Lyle Stevens is watching this, we need you to come forward what you do know or don't know, but we need to figure that out. And there is something else that has happened that is a little concerning about Lyle, right? As far as you asked him something when he last saw Jeremy, and it matches up with another date we found out. Do you want to kind of go into what's going on there?
Lyle Stevens said, for me, it was the last time he saw Jeremy was December 1st of 2019. He told his mother the last time he talked to Jeremy, or I think it was talked to Jeremy, was December 19th. Or December 1st, sorry. Which is very strange because somebody has, it was in a police blotter that a Jeremy Lee Triplett, which the birth date matched, the age matched, everything matched, except for the fact that my brother does not have blue eyes. So it was not him. But Lyle was December 1st seemed to be the date that, he remembered, which I don't know how you would remember a specific date after, almost 9 months, but it's just a little concerning. You add all that up.
Yeah, so you ask him, hey, when's the last time you saw my brother? Off the top of his head, he knows the date 7 to 9 months ago. He says December 1st. So the first question is, wow, that's pretty impressive to just kind of know the date like that without having to look into it. I don't know what I did yesterday, never mind what I did back on December of 2019. And then that's the date he gives you. But then I believe you said a relative of yours goes looking, finds this police blotter, everything matches except for the eyes, and it's sure enough on December 1st that this supposedly happened.
Right.
So it begs the question, of course, and to be clear, we are not accusing anyone. We're just trying to piece things together here and saying what we think may or may not happen, or what we think may or does make sense. And until people come forward and tell us what they know, that's kind of all we're left with. So it begs the question, what would make you remember a date so far away off the top of your head? Could it be you got arrested, or were you involved in any way with that? So we have Jeremy apparently getting arrested, except the eyes don't match. And it's important to note he had lost his ID before that, right? So it could be somebody who has his ID is what we're wondering why the eyes don't match.
Yeah. Yes. And because in California, mugshots are not a matter of public record, we cannot verify or, who is in that photo.
Right.
But I do know that my brother had the farthest thing from blue eyes. And I just don't see officers making that mistake. I mean, it's not going to happen.
Right. When I was younger, I got arrested a couple times. I got in a fight when I was a kid, and small things, just kind of go for a couple hours for the night. But I specifically remember they didn't just ask me; they would give you a look at your eyes to make sure they got it right.
Right.
I said Kay. Hi, Caitlin. How are you? So I was just responding to someone in the chat. I spelled their name wrong. Okay, so we have that. Now it is worth mentioning, since we're questioning these things, Lyle Stevens also does not have blue eyes. From what I can see, he seems to have hazel eyes. So we are not accusing anyone. We're just trying to piece things together. And he doesn't match there, but neither does Jeremy is the problem.
Exactly.
So Jeremy tended to frequent Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood, an area I'm familiar with because I lived out there for years, or at least somewhat close in LA. He frequented an H&K tobacco shop twice a day. It is closed down, but I have talked to people at other stores in the area, and they're not quite sure if they've seen him. But we believe he may still be in that area, right? Do I understand correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So if anybody is in that area, please keep your eyes out. There was a little bit of a concerning video on his Facebook page. Kind of. So just so everyone knows what we're talking about, Jeremy did have a video where he points a camera at someone and he types, "If anything happens to me, look at this guy," something along those lines. In the video, though, he doesn't seem to know. This was July, so it would have been like 6 months or so, 5 months or so before he went missing. Real question. Quick question. Leslie Tyler asks, "Hi, could this person have been wearing colored contacts?" That's a good point. Whether Jeremy or Lyle or anyone.
The likelihood of Jeremy wearing contacts is it's just very unlikely because Jeremy didn't like anything by his eyes, touching his eyes.
Okay.
It just wasn't something, it was just one of his quirks. He just, he didn't like it.
I'm the same way, actually. I'm like,
and I would assume the police would have him take them out.
Do they typically check that or just look? Sorry.
According to a lot of my research, that's something that they always ask them, and they try to verify if their contacts are real. But like I said, Jeremy didn't like things close to his eyes, by his eyes. It's just one of his quirks that, I remember when we were kids, it just wasn't. So the chances of him putting contacts in his eyes are just, to me, I don't think it would happen.
Okay, but it is worth mentioning, since we're saying some people who didn't have contacts, and I guess it's always a possibility. Actually, I'm surprised I hadn't even thought of that. Thank you, Leslie. And you're not interrupting whatsoever. She said, "Sorry for interrupting." We encourage participation in the chat, so thank you so much. You can ask as many questions as you'd like, because you could always think of something we haven't yet, and lead us down that road. That's what we're doing this for, to tell Jeremy's story and get it out there. Now, one of the things, I'll get back to the video in a moment, but that was a little concerning, was this Georgie Washington character said, "Rest in peace, Trip," which only really Jeremy's people who know him pretty well call him that, right? He doesn't, for example, refer to himself as Trip on his Facebook or something.
Not generally. I mean, when you become friends with him, like you'll find out pretty quick that Trip is his nickname. But you would have to know Jeremy to know that.
Right.
Like you wouldn't. He just doesn't run around blurting it out. I mean, you would have to know Jeremy to know that.
When Lyle contacted you, did he refer to him as Trip also, or did he not? Excuse me, say his name.
No, he referred to him as Jeremy.
Oh, Lyle called him Jeremy, and George Washington called him Trip. Okay.
Yes.
Well, worth mentioning. Now, as far as this video on Facebook, so to be clear to everyone, he didn't appear to know this guy, and it was 5 to 6 months before. I guess the guy was taking pictures of him, but it was enough for Jeremy to pull out his phone, videotape the guy, and say, "Hey, if anything happens to me, this guy is like walking around taking pictures of me." And then in the video, you can see the guy facing away from Jeremy towards something, and Jeremy notes in his post he's just taken like 9 pictures of this, I think he said boring wall or bland wall or something. So it seemed like Jeremy was saying, this guy's obviously following me, taking pictures, and when I looked at him, he's trying to act like he's taking pictures of something else, but who takes a picture of a plain wall? That's the kind of the vibe I got from it, because I'm going by what he typed and what he said in the video, a little bit of both. But again, that was, I think, July, and Jeremy was safe as of November 12th, so it was a good deal beforehand, right?
Yeah.
And he had never mentioned since then, like, "Hey, I keep seeing this guy around," or so as far as we know, that would have been his last contact with this guy?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. So worth noting, but we're not sure about anything there. Now, you had mentioned that he likes to read a lot, and he's a pretty talented artist. So, anyone listening, it is worth, if you're in the Hollywood, California area, particularly the Santa Monica Boulevard. I have to double check the address of that tobacco store. I think it's 6282 6 something on Santa Monica Boulevard, Hollywood. If you are in the area, I'm not sure. Is there background noise? The guest had asked about background noise. I guess.
Is that better?
Yes, hopefully. Is that better? Thoughts? Yeah, there is something that's kind of coming in and out. I'm not too sure what it is, but someone had just asked about it in the chat. Sorry about that. Thoughts? So yeah, if anybody is at a library in the area, or like a Barnes and Noble or any kind of bookstore that allows people to just kind of sit and hang and read. Jeremy, at the time, he was homeless. He was having a few struggles. So, I mean, I know I personally like to sit and read. So someone like him who's really into reading and is homeless at the time, he probably, it's a good chance he could spend a lot of time there, right? Just to kind of kill the day.
Well, I know Jeremy very well. I mean, he's my brother. Jeremy can sit for hours on end and read a book, or read. I remember one time he had Stephen King, The Stand, and that's a pretty thick book. I mean, I watched him read it in a whole day.
Really?
Just when he gets into a book, it's just, so, he could, go into a library and just sit down and read books all day. That's always very possible.
Okay. Now, Lyle, in one of his stories at least, said the last place he had saw Jeremy was that he was sleeping under a bridge in the area.
Well, on that story, he said the last he knew, Jeremy was sleeping under a bridge in Hollywood. I asked him if he knew which one. He said there was too many. He didn't know. And that's pretty much where that conversation ended. But he never said he saw him on that story. It was just that's the last he knew.
Oh, okay.
So, and he didn't specify a date on that one. That was just the last he knew. And that's what he told my son.
Did he give any kind of range? Like when he said he saw him last on December 1st, did he say like I saw him under the bridge a couple months later or anything like that, or no? Okay.
No.
Okay. Let me see. So the most concern, and as far as the arrest, so one thing that concerns us is it seems from what we can tell in the police log to state that the bail was paid in full, which was $1,000. So the first thing is you only typically have to pay 10%. So it would only cost, of course, $100. But it almost doesn't make sense either way, whether it's Jeremy or if it is someone with blue eyes using or blue contacts using his name, because if it's Jeremy, there's no way on earth he would have had even maybe the 100 because of what money was getting sent, but definitely not the 1,000, right?
No, there's just no way.
Whereas if it was someone using his name, why would they bother to pay the $900 balance, right?
Exactly.
Unless it's someone using his ID that wanted to keep being able to use it or something.
And that's the only thing that I can conclude is, in order to keep using it, they had to keep it, try to keep it clear, because it's showing, it was paid in full.
Leslie Tyler says, "I'm wondering if human trafficking could be involved." That's just a comment from, of course, something to look at. Let me see here. So she last talked to him on November 12th. And around what did his phone turn off? Within the month, right?
I believe so, yeah. But if you call his messenger, it'll ring and ring and ring and ring as if it's perfectly fine. I don't know what that means, but as far as his phone, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you can think of important facts or tips, things you've heard, or just things you know about him in general, since we know he reads things, any other activities and places he may be?
Maybe, any stores that he can buy, art materials. Like I said, he loves to draw. He's phenomenal. Um, and this is, things out of his head that are just, kind of mind blowing. That he can just put on paper.
Right.
Art stores, libraries. I know he stayed in that general area. I mean, he didn't go from one side of California to the other. He stayed right around that area. And I've looked in every police blotter, every coroner's office. There's just no trace. He's just gone.
Okay. I'm going to real quick show some pictures of Jeremy. They've seen the thumbnail, of course, but just a few. So here he is. You can see that on your screen, right? I'll give it a moment. Okay. So there's one. Oh, sorry. That's going through the wrong pictures here. Okay. There's another. Just to give everyone an idea of what he looks like with, a little bit of beard, a little scruff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we have the thumbnail there. And then here's another one. Here's him with a hat. So a few different looks in case. All right.
I don't know what I was going to say. I think I lost it. I'm starting to tear up. Sorry.
No. Oh, it's fine. If you need a moment, whether on camera or off, by all means, we're so sorry that you're going through this. But if someone who knows Jeremy or he himself is listening, what would you like to say to him if Jeremy's listening right now?
That we love him. His mom misses him and loves him, and I love him, and I need him to come home, and his mom needs him to come home, because not knowing is hard. And if he ever felt that I alienated him in any way, I never meant for him to feel that way. And I'm so sorry about everything. And his nieces and nephews need him.
Okay.
And I'm just begging him to come home or call and let us know he's okay so I can bring him home. So I can bring him home to his mom. Because we're all falling apart.
I'm so sorry, Rachel. Jeremy's 34 years old. I'm sorry. Someone asked in the chat. I thought I had said that at the beginning. I apologize, guys. He is 34. Give me just a moment. I'm so sorry, Rachel. If you need any time. But hopefully, remember, we're doing this and we're going to get it out to everyone we can. And
I also want him to know that I'm never going to stop looking for him. I will go to the ends of the earth to find him and bring him home. And I'm never going to stop until he comes home. And I promised his mom I wouldn't stop.
Okay. And we won't stop either. We'll get the answers. If anyone knows any of the people, that were mentioned today, please, just ask them, of course, if they know anything. Have you checked homeless shelters? Someone asked.
I have, but Jeremy didn't Jeremy didn't particularly like homeless shelters. He was really good at toughing things out. Um, so I have checked all of them in that area, but I have had no luck.
Okay. So you have checked them, but it won't hurt for us to maybe check again.
No, it wouldn't hurt.
Okay. If somebody does have a tip or believe they saw him or something, again, they can always contact me. Everyone knows, most people on this channel know my email, jasonhebert100@gmail.com. Just make sure you do Hebert and not Herbert. Very common mistake. Pretty much everyone does it. If you send Herbert, I won't get it. But do not send anything to me, in lieu of Rachel or any authorities, of course. It would just be on top of it, and I can pass along a message. Do you want to give any kind of anywhere they could send a tip to you directly?
Is there a way for them to send it to me on like my messenger or
For sure.
and if they can send it, to you as well, so you can help me, with anything as far as that goes.
Okay, so that's Facebook Messenger, and of course, it probably will go into that weird folder we talked about earlier. So you just keep an eye on it, just in case something comes in that is time sensitive. Maybe they see him at a park, and you want to make sure you don't get it before he leaves or something like that.
Right. And my profile picture is of Jeremy's missing poster, so I'm really not too hard to find.
Right. Okay. Well, is there anything that I missed or that you want to make sure you get out there about Jeremy or just in general?
At this point, my concern is my main focus is to bring him home, and I'm not out to punish anybody or, you know, anything like that. I just want my brother. I want my brother back, and his mom would like her baby boy back.
And so, with that being said, we're just letting people know if they want to remain anonymous, by all means they can, right? You don't care about causing any problems in their life. You just want them back.
I just want him back.
Okay. So if you do have any tips, please send it. Her name is Rachel Smith, and you will see Jeremy's missing poster as her profile picture. Yeah, you can also send it to me again at jasonhebert100@gmail.com. And of course, the important thing would be authorities, particularly if you were to know that he was in any kind of trouble or had come across any harm or anything like that. You would want to make the authorities know, the Hollywood, California police, I guess. Well, LAPD. I don't know if it's specific to Hollywood or if it's just LAPD. But okay, right. So we'll thank you so much for coming on. And if anyone sees or hears anything, please let us know. I'm always involved with the people I interview, so ongoing until the cases are solved. So again, send me anything that you have, or even if you don't know something, maybe you just have an idea, by all means. Indy Pink asks, I wonder if this, I think she means Lyle, has ever been investigated. Not in relation to this, right? Of course.
No, because the California police will not do anything due to the fact that Jeremy is homeless.
Which is really a bummer, huh? Yeah.
It's disturbing because they are people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, and there's people looking for them, and you can't get any help.
And on top of that, if a morgue or something gets a body that's homeless after 72 hours, they just cremate it. They don't do any fingerprinting or anything, right?
No, they just cremate them after 72 hours.
So you have, God forbid, of course, and we're praying that that's not even a possibility, but you have been checking that just for the sake of thoroughness.
Right. Yes, I've been on the coroner's websites looking, at what they do have available for public record as far as unidentified bodies or unclaimed bodies. And I've went through everything that I possibly can at this point, as far as that is concerned, because not everything's public record.
Right. And Janice Smith said, well, that's BS. California is wrong for that. And I agree. There should be absolutely no distinction between homeless and non-homeless
No,
with anything, never mind with something as, serious as this.
yeah, because these are still people and they still deserve to be found.
Absolutely. Leslie Tyler asks, have you tried picture searches online? You mean like the Google picture searches to see if find any matches? Is that what you mean, Leslie? Sorry. Both me and Rachel are not super techie minded. I'm definitely not. But it's a wonder I get these things to run. Most of the time it's just because of Grotto helping out. But today I was able to do it on my own. So I'm very proud of myself, actually. So I would appreciate a round of applause to everyone in the chat. Silent round of applause. I'll imagine you doing it. Indie Pink says this is so wrong, and I agree. We should kind of try to lobby California in some way that there should be no distinction. The homeless people should get, obviously, absolutely every consideration everyone else does. I can't even believe that there is that.
Yeah, and I've through going through this, it's I feel like somebody needs to advocate for these people, because they're still people, they're human beings, and they deserve every every decency that any of the rest of us would.
That's correct. Absolutely.
So I'm looking into also trying to do something as far as that's concerned.
Okay. Well, if anyone has any ideas in the chat, or you can post on the video after regarding that, let us know. I don't know who we have to let know, but they need to treat homeless people as if they're human beings, because they are, and that's just not right. You don't just not fingerprint someone. You do everything available when you get a body. You don't just say, oh, no one claimed it within 72 hours and get rid of it. As a matter of fact, that's the last person you should be doing that to, because they are the most likely to be able to go missing without anyone knowing for a while. If someone that lives with you goes missing when they don't come home that night, but if someone's homeless, if they've been missing for 72 hours, like, you might only see them once every week or two. So you won't even know until a while after that. Do you know what I mean? They should be the ones that get the most, if anything.
And now that 9 months has lapsed, it's what's making this even harder. And when you contact them, and you're told they can't do anything because he's homeless, they won't even file a missing persons report. It's not right. It's very wrong.
Absolutely. We need to see who we can contact regarding that for Jeremy or anybody else.
Exactly.
For sure. All right, Rachel. Well, I'm going to speak to you further, of course. As you know, I do get involved and try to call around to find out everything I can. Even though I'm on the other side of the country, I have a few tricks. I'm not the most techie guy, but I got a few tricks on the computer. So I will continue to do so as I have been. And now that we're going to be pumping this video out everywhere we can, we ask everyone to share this once it goes up. This might not be up till tomorrow, so it takes a while to process. So if you don't see it right away, that's why. But we will put this everywhere. I'll get it in the groups. I'll ask my friends to share it. Anyone currently here, please share it and help Rachel and Jeremy out.
Yes, please help bring him home.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much for coming on. I'll talk to you shortly, okay? All right, and let's bring Jeremy home, guys. All right, I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always appreciate you. We'll see you next time.